What is going on, guys? My name is Chase, and welcome back to Intelligent Money Investing. Today, we are going to be talking about the exciting topic of cannabis stocks and marijuana stocks. Really, it's that growing industry that is becoming more and more normalized for marijuana to be legal for recreational use. A while back, we saw more and more medical use, and now it's kind of dipping into that recreational use segment. And with that, there's a ton of growth potential in the market and a ton of potential for a lot of people to make a ton of money and this newly developing industry. Before we get into that exciting topic, I want to ask you guys to please take a second, hit that like button on this video. It really helps out the channel. And if you have any questions about what I talk about here today, drop a comment down below. I read and respond to every comment that's down there. So definitely take a second to do that if you have any questions. Now, let's get into this. So, the news that got me into these marijuana stocks is Canopy Growth getting listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Actually, I believe it was the Nasdaq, but either way, it's on the American markets now and can be accessed on the Robinhood app, and is already one of the 100 most popular investments on the Robinhood app, with only over 12,000 people deciding to take a stake in this company. It's up huge today with the legalization news coming out of Canada, and through my position, I've made 8% today and 20% overall in probably about a week and a half, maybe, which is absolutely fantastic. But we're going to talk about the financials of Canopy Growth and whether it's actually going to be worth this price in the long run or not, because it is trading for an incredibly high valuation right now. I believe about $6.5 billion market cap. So, basically, with the news that's coming out of Canopy, I believe there's a House and Senate in Canada. I'm not 100% sure of their political structure, but I believe it passed through the House last week, the bill to legalize recreational use for marijuana. And today, I believe, or maybe last night, it passed through the Senate. So I believe that process is almost done. And it's pretty much just a formality now for cannabis to be legalized in Canada. And with that, that's going to be a huge market for this Canadian stock. If you guys didn't know, Canopy Growth is a Canadian company. It's listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange as WEED, weed as the ticker symbol. But it's been trading on there for a long time now, and it has just done absolutely fantastic over the last few years. The chart's kind of messed up here, but let's go CGC, Yahoo Finance. Not Yahoo Finance, it's just CGC stock, and we can look at this over the last few years. So as you can see, if you were in in 2017, beginning of 2017, it was about $5-6. You could have 5-6 times your money by now, which is absolutely incredible. This has been a huge growth company just because everybody's so excited about this evolving industry. But I would definitely recommend having a little bit of hesitation when getting into Canopy. So we're going to look at the financials here on Yahoo Finance. Well, if you guys are investors on Robinhood, I would highly suggest using Yahoo Finance for your research or some other site. Robinhood's numbers, for the most part, are usually very wrong and also very incomplete. You really can't get a full income statement or anything like that on the Robinhood app. So that's just a quick tip. Definitely do your research outside of Robinhood and then do your purchasing there, because you don't have to pay those commission fees. So in 2017, their total revenue, I'm going to kind of ignore these other numbers because they didn't actually make a profit. That's just I believe that's their gross profit before most of their expenses. But their total revenue was $40 million. Now, that really strikes me as odd because their total revenue was $40 million, yet they're trading at a over $6 billion valuation, I believe it is. We'll click back over to summary. Where is that value? Yeah, almost $7 billion market cap now. So with that 40 million, we're trading at over 100 times revenue, 150 times revenue over that, which is absolutely astronomical to me. And while it is a ton of growth coming from Canopy Growth, like the revenue is up, I believe, like 70 or 80% year over year for the first quarter, and that's very good growth. But is that good enough growth to really justify a $40 million revenue year into being a $7 billion company? That's my hesitation with it. But obviously, there is a lot of money to be made here because really, with all the excitement and the legalization news and everything like that coming out of Canopy, you really are going to see the share price rise and rise. And if they can continue that growth trajectory that they're on right now, then they may be able to justify this high price eventually. Because as you guys know, these beer and alcohol companies sell for huge valuations. I believe multi like tens and tens of billions. We're actually going to look at one just in a second because Constellation Brands has taken a special interest in Canopy Growth itself. So, Constellation Brand itself, it trades for a $44 billion valuation. And it's really a question of getting into these companies is if you think that these individual marijuana companies can be as big as these alcohol companies. So, if I think Constellation Brands might be the same size as Canopy, that Canopy might grow to be that size someday, then okay, I'll pay in for that $7 billion valuation just because 10 years down the line, I think it's going to be able to justify that. But if I don't, then it really depends on how much the recreational use is going to get used compared to what the alcohol companies and stuff like that can do. But the reason I brought up Constellation Brands specifically is because Constellation Brands took a 10% stake in Canopy Growth a while ago, and I believe they also have 10% call option volume on them. I'm not exactly sure what the number is on that, but what you guys need to know is Constellation Brands has a huge exposure to Canopy Growth, and that could be very helpful if you're a shareholder for Constellation Brands. Obviously, it's not incredibly big if you're a Constellation Brands shareholder because it's a $43 billion company, and if they have $700 million in assets in Canopy Growth stock, if that's just counting that 10% equity that they own, that's like about a 0.5% of your total equity there, like if the total actual business valuation of Constellation Brands. So while it's a bonus to have it in there and it'll be a good revenue source, a good growing revenue source in the future, what you're really buying into Constellation Brands for is for Corona, it's for Modelo, it's for their great alcohol brands, and you're really buying in hoping that those are going to continue in the future. And then you can see that Canopy Growth equity as a bonus and as a good growth prospect for the future. And honestly, if I was a shareholder in Constellation Brands and Canopy Growth, which I'm not a shareholder of Constellation Brands, I'd be more excited about Constellation Brands taking a position in Canopy Growth as a Canopy Growth shareholder, just because that means that they have a large company backing them, and they'll probably have access to credit lines in a very debt-heavy business. Because if you guys haven't been following it, Canopy Growth is investing heavily in warehouses and areas where they can grow indoors up in Canada year-round. So being able to have access to the credit line that big alcohol company like Constellation Brands is going to be able to kick off is a huge benefit for any company, especially one that's in a heavy growth phase. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Please let me know your thoughts on Canopy Growth and Constellation Brands down in those comments down below. Hit that like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel for sure. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.